Update: roommate moved her possibly homeless boyfriend into the house. My longtime female friend and I have been renting a house together for 2 months now. We're both on the lease, but I paid the deposit, move-in costs, and pay roughly 75% of all living expenses. Yes, I know this is dumb. My friend doesn't make much money and was in a bad situation, and she couldn't live here without being on the lease. We've lived together for almost 3 years, and it's been fantastic. I had moved to a new city. She knew lots of people and has helped me establish a social life. I had no problem with the arrangement until now. She recently suddenly and tragically lost her dog, who was like a child to her, and has been spiraling ever since. Drunk all the time, starting fights and hurling insults, etc. We had basically stopped talking when, about a month ago, she met some random guy. I don't know much about him, but what I've seen isn't great. 2 weeks ago, she got a DUI and this guy bailed her out. The next day, he came back to our house with her and spent much of the day. He then started coming here every day, taking up the living room, walking around with no shirt on, etc. I avoided them as much as I could, and we never exchanged words. The guy gives me the creeps. He's large, maybe 6'4", and on the heavier side. His vibe is just, I don't know, off. 6 days ago, the guy spent the night here. Then he stayed over the next night, then the next night. The following morning, I told my roommate that it's not cool to be taking up the house and having her boyfriend stay over for long stretches. I told her he made me uncomfortable, and she basically said it's her boyfriend and her house, and she can do what she wants. On the 5th morning yesterday, I saw that he had toiletries in our bathroom. I told my roommate it seemed like her boyfriend was attempting to stay here long-term, and pointed out that our lease has limits on guests staying over, 14 nights in a 6-month period. This is where things changed, and where I need advice. My roommate has now started to say things like, I feel threatened, I feel unsafe, and I need my boyfriend here for protection. There's no truth to them at all. I've been leaving the house every evening after work and only coming home around 11 or 12, and I completely avoid all contact with both of them. The only contact we've ever had was one evening when I came home around 11 and they were smoking weed on our front porch. He was once again basically in his underwear, and I asked him to please wear clothes when he's in the common areas of the house. That's also all I've ever said to him. It seems like she's using this as some kind of legal or defense strategy, planning to tell our agent and owners that I'm some kind of danger to her, and she needs her boyfriend here for protection when they tell her he needs to go. Yesterday, her boyfriend showed up at 4 p.m. while I was still working from home and spent the rest of the day and night here. He's literally waking up, going to work, and coming back to our home. He is living here. So I got curious. Last night when I got home, I looked through the window into his SUV. It's filled with clothes and hangers. It looks exactly like a car that someone is living out of. Maybe I'm being crazy, but it seems like this dude is homeless and is manipulating my roommate into moving into our house. Her shift in language, all the talk about threats and protection, isn't like her, and it's completely divorced from reality. It seems like she's being coached. I've spoken with our agent who I'm friendly with, and she's aware of the situation. She's seen the guy's car here every day and will be messaging my roommate about the guest rules today. My concern is that my roommate is going to start lying and accusing me of making her feel unsafe, telling the agent that she needs her boyfriend here for protection. I'm not super concerned that it's going to work, but I am concerned that the agent and owners are going to look at this situation, decide it's not worth it, and just cancel the lease. I really like this house and don't want to have to move. I've already changed the Wi-Fi password, I pay all utilities, and locked up all of my possessions, which include plates, cookware, and all silverware. I'm just out of options at this point and wondering if anyone has been in a similar situation. Edit: I should mention that the agent is basically our landlord. It's a direct home rental from the owners, and she is the middleman who handles all renter issues. Now for the top comments before reading the update. I'd immediately demand the rent split go back to 50-50 at the very least if he's going to stay there. You're literally subsidizing housing for 2 people. They can't make their half of the rent between the 2 of them? I did. I sent her an email when we first stopped talking explaining that she's going to be responsible for 50%. I attached all of our utility bills and gave her a total due on the 1st. She's made it clear she's not going to pay it, but I have documentation. I could take her to small claims court eventually, but for now I'm worried about getting this guy out. You need to tell the landlord now. Do not let this guy get tenant rights because then all of you will go through eviction. Not to mention him being over can potentially mean you're violating the lease and get you evicted. Stop paying her freaking share. Get a backbone. Enough. You need to document everything. If you are in a one-party consent state, always have your phone to record. It's two-party consent here, unfortunately. I'm documenting everything through texts, but now she's saying that the texts are harassment. I informed her the payment arrangement has changed, and she's responsible for 50% moving forward. I emailed her the bills and an invoice. She won't pay it, but I could eventually take her to small claims if I wanted. You need to act now. In most areas, it only takes 14 days of consecutive nights for someone to become a tenant. I would find ways to make it as uncomfortable as possible for them to stay. If you own any of the furniture, put it into storage, especially any furniture in the living room. If the guy is parking illegally, have it towed. The agent/landlord is working on it. My huge concern and the reason for this post is that when the agent contacts her today, she's going to start saying a bunch of BS about feeling threatened and unsafe. Now for the update. For added context, our landlord, who lives next door, repeatedly reminded her that our lease prohibits guests from staying over more than 14 times in a 6-month period. My roommate started lying, saying that she didn't feel safe around me and needed him here for protection. Then I noticed his car was filled with clothes, dozens and dozens of hangers with shirts, pants, shoes, etc. And it became clear he was never actually going to another home. He was just living here. Unfortunately, we never had a signed rental agreement between us, so I was stuck paying 75% of the bills, while she and her boyfriend basically took over the house. She made it clear she was not going to leave or break the lease. She knew neither of them could get a place on their own, and I didn't know what to do. I changed the Wi-Fi password, locked up all the pots, pans, and dishes. They were all mine. Hid all of my laundry detergent and dryer sheets, etc. They had no TV, no internet, and were using a cheap $3 sauté pan and paper plates to cook and eat with, but they kept on living here. Luckily, I've been friends with our landlord since we moved in, and she was just as upset with him living at the house as I was. So she sent my roommate a formal notification that if the boyfriend stayed over beyond 14 days, they would evict us. My roommate said she understood and that he would be gone after the 14th day. But sure enough, on day 15 he was right back at the house. We had a confrontation, which I filmed, and her boyfriend charged at me and tried to attack me, but my roommate held him back. I was actually kind of hoping he would hit me so I could get the cops involved, but he just stormed out and slammed our door. I spoke with a cop friend, and she told me it unfortunately wasn't enough to seek a protection order. After that, he stopped staying over, but continued to basically live at our house, arriving around 3 p.m. and leaving at 11 or 12. I was miserable and basically just accepted the fact that this would be my life until the lease ended next summer. But 2 weeks ago, I finally caught a break. She messed up and had her boyfriend stay over again. I documented it and sent proof to the landlord, and she texted me back saying, "Woohoo, you're free." An hour later, she sent both of us a notice of eviction, instructing us that we both had to be out by the end of October. My roommate and I happened to be at the same sports bar when the notice came in, a huge multi-story place with dozens of mutual friends, and she came upstairs screaming at me, cursing me out and telling everyone that I had gotten us evicted because I went whining to the landlord. She and her boyfriend left and went to the landlord's house, freaking out and saying that she's gonna be homeless and won't be able to rent a place with an eviction on her record. She actually tried to convince the landlord to just evict me and let her boyfriend move in instead, saying that I was the one causing all the problems. The landlord said no dice, but told her she could avoid the eviction if she agreed to break the lease, move out at the end of the month, and didn't have her boyfriend over at all in the meantime. If he showed up, the landlord said she would immediately send a 7-day eviction notice and we'd be out within a week. After that, my roommate and her boyfriend basically disappeared. I think at first she might have thought that if they stayed away for a bit, things might cool down and he could start coming to the house again. But at some point, something must have changed. Either they realized there was no path forward, or they found someone else to stay with. I don't really know, but about a week ago they came to the house and started packing up some of her stuff from the garage. And yesterday my landlord said my roommate had agreed to break the lease at the end of the month. I just signed a new lease today and will officially have my home back on November 1st. Not sure what the lesson is. Definitely be cool with your landlord, and always sign a separate rental agreement with your roommates before you enter into a lease together. Glad they're getting out. Now have your landlord change the locks the minute the end of the month happens. Your ex-friend did you wrong in so many ways. Sorry, I know how it feels. Thanks for saying that. Honestly, I know I'm making light of it, but the past 2 months have been hell. These homosexuals are really upping their game. No joke, it really seemed like he was trying to establish residency here. When he met my landlord for the first time, he actually hugged her and put on the most obvious fake charm act imaginable. She called me afterward and was like, "Does he think I'm stupid?" He really thought I'd buy that. He's so weird. Both of them thought they could hug their way into taking over the lease. Is this a long-time friend or just 3 years? It's really sad that the friendship just went to the crapper. Did you ever have like a heart-to-heart before things got as bad as they did, to see why the sudden changes in how she was treating you? I know it sucks losing a pet, but throwing away a long-term friendship over it is odd. We've been friends for many years. We had one period after moving in where we had a heart-to-heart and she agreed to start being more respectful. It lasted for 2 days. It may have started with her dog, but it became all about the boyfriend. It's one of those high school, codependent, us-against-the-world kind of relationships. She lost her license, so she spends literally, every free minute of every single day with him. She's now extremely self-centered, mean, disrespectful, and completely lost to the world. It's really sad, but she's not the girl I knew anymore. Next story. Update. Had to get a mini fridge for my room to prevent food theft, shaking my head. Original post. I moved in with my 86-year-old grandpa at the end of last year. What I originally thought was a good opportunity to spend time with my grandpa during his final years and save money on rent ended up being a huge trap and setback. The environment is so controlling and toxic. My grandpa has been letting my late grandma's cousin's son, James, 58 male, live here for the last 6 years, as a family favor to his mother. It's family lore that James used to sleep under a bridge because he was homeless and somewhat special needs. Couldn't figure out life himself and had to live with someone to get by. None of his own relatives would let him live with them. What I now know is that James is an entitled turd who thinks other people should live and cater to him, rather than living respectfully together like normal people do. James breaks everything around the house, appliances, amenities, etc. But worse is that when he breaks stuff, he doesn't let anyone know. He either lets it sit there or hides it. He lies directly when asked about things that go missing around the house, and is so selfish he won't even move someone's laundry from the washer to the dryer because it's not his responsibility, even if he needs to use the washer. He'll just take your clothes out and leave them wet. James made it clear from the first day I moved in that he doesn't like me and has no intention of letting me get comfortable in the house, and that he views me as some sort of threat because I require clean spaces, kitchen, dining area, etc., and ask that he help my grandpa keep the house clean. My grandpa is starting to go blind, but insists on cooking, which leaves a lot of food messes behind. Everything came to a head a few days ago when James started eating my stuff. I have these fruit popsicles from Outshine, really good by the way, and James also buys himself the same brand of fruit bars. I bought 2 boxes of flavors different from the ones James had in the fridge. I hid them because my grandpa told me James will eat everything in sight if you leave stuff out. That night when I got off my closing shift, I noticed one of my bars was missing. I was furious. 1, because I hadn't even had any, and 2, because James never speaks a word to me. Like complete silence, unless I'm doing something he doesn't like opening a window for ventilation or adjusting the thermostat, or leaving too much water on the bath mats after my showers. But he has the nerve to dig through my stuff? I talked to my grandpa, who asked us to bring any grievances to him and asked him to tell James not to eat my stuff. Of course, James lied about it and said that he had no idea what I was talking about and that he never ate my stuff. I let it go and left my stuff in there. Maybe 3 days later, I came home from another night shift to another bar missing, the last of the second box. I was mad because the a-hole left the box in the freezer, which I never would have done. I know he ate it. I went to my grandpa, who gave excuses for him again and told me to let it go because he said he didn't eat it the first time. I'm not gonna lie, I let my anger get the best of me after the second time. So I went back into the kitchen and grabbed 3 out of his 10 cold-pressed drinks and poured them out into the sink. I don't regret pouring them out. He deserved that. But I do regret letting him get me that mad. I knew my grandpa wasn't going to stick up for me. When James got home, he freaked out and started slamming doors and stuff. The next morning, I decided I felt too bad about messing with his stuff and decided to replace them. I was on my way out the door when James confronted me and my grandpa, calling me all kinds of nasty slurs. He called me a retarded thieving bitch. I still don't regret it. I bet he won't touch my stuff now. That was about a week and a half ago. I just ordered my mini fridge a few minutes ago. I'm not proud of what I did, but I am proud that I defended myself. Normally I wouldn't. Put a lock on your fridge and your bedroom. Obstacles/traps are better than boundaries when dealing with vermin. Have you tried leaving booby-trapped food for him? A Tupperware of pasta where the sauce has been mixed with laxatives. I have a lock on my door, and I plan on padlocking my fridge, even if it's unnecessary. I wanted to dip the bars in laxatives, but if he saw the wrappers open, he would get tipped off. I thought about it, trust me. But at the end of the day, I'm just going to be happy watching his face when they wheel my fridge in a few days. The a-hole always uses everyone else's stuff before his own. I took my soaps and skincare out of our shared bathroom because I realized he was using it. When I took my stuff away, only then did the little turd pull out his own stuff to place in the bathroom. James sounds like a brat. Please make sure that he is not stealing money from Grandpa. He sounds like the type to do so. Check Grandpa's bank account and his credit lines. If James is stealing, this is elder abuse. My parents keep a hawk eye on my grandpa. They always look out for him and were relieved that I moved back in so I could keep watch too. James is my grandpa's guest, so we all just kind of accepted it for now. Also, you may be giving James a little too much credit there. Now for the update. So my fridge came a couple days ago and honestly, I couldn't be happier. I truly won. I put my skincare from my job in there. My gua shas are cold now when I do my face massages. I can leave my boba in there for after work, or if there are sauces from a restaurant I like, I don't have to throw the cups or packets away if I don't want to. The shelves stay clean and aren't splattered with nastiness from people too lazy to clean up spills. And I don't have to smell rotting food someone forgot to throw away every time I open the door. The reason I'm updating is because I went to the store today and bought 3 boxes of Outshines, peach, lime, and strawberry, and I stacked them all in the freezer of my mini fridge. I put all the empty boxes downstairs in the kitchen trash and cackled to myself because the next time he goes to throw something away, he'll see I have like a 24 count of Outshine bars he can't eat. I hope it burns him up inside LOL.